This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow Sully Crotty. Sully, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. How are you?
Very good. Happy to be on board for a little stakes recap, a little handicapping, and towards the end of the program, we'll be joined by our friend Dick Powell. Dick has an online column that he put out within the last few days with his Eclipse ballot, and yesterday they announced the Eclipse finalists, so I thought it was a good time to have some Eclipse conversation this morning. We'll do that with Dick at about 20 of the hour, so about 40 minutes away or so, but as I say, plenty of racing discussion in the meantime. I want to take this chance to thank our friends at Gulfstream for their sponsorship. Gulfstream Park champions start here. Also like to alert you to promos that are coming up. And a fun promo that you and I are both involved in coming up starting on Thursday. There will be 4 straight days this coming week of bankrolls here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Sully, Mike, and myself will have $3 each day to play bankroll with a bankroll team here at the Clubhouse Racebook. We'd love to see you down here. Swing down 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Put your name in the hat. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, each individual days, each individual $300 bankrolls. Mike will be in a day, Sully will be in a day, and I think I have the weekend, but that's coming up starting this Thursday the 10th. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I like that bankroll bonanza. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And bankrolls have been going well, especially here at the Clubhouse Racebook, and now we have 4 days in a row, so definitely stop on by for that. It should be a lot of fun.
Oh, and speaking of, we had the bounty bet on Friday, and I guess, as I understand it, somebody took down the whole bounty.
Yeah, someone took down the entire $500 bounty, and the pick 4 at Gulfstream played, I think, just a little over $3,300, so that's a nice little bonus to add on top of that.
Got a $500 bonus there by playing through their Capital OTV account for a bounty bet promotion on Friday. So the bounty will reload with another $500, I guess, in a couple of weeks. Take your shot. Again, you're playing just against the universe of people playing with their Capital OTB bet account. So as that demonstrated, it's very doable.
Yeah. It's definitely doable. And you know, as we said earlier, the pick 4, it really wasn't a hard sequence, and it paid really well. At Gulfstream itself, the pick 4 pool was huge, and that it paid, as I said, over $3,300. So if you just play through your Capital Bets account, you could have the potential to get an extra $500 on top of that. So it really is a fantastic promo here.
The rainbow yesterday was crazy, I thought. The rainbow, did I see that right? Paid $47,000?
$47,000.
For, I thought, and I'm breadboarding now, but I thought it was a very hittable sequence. Our friend Brian Nadeau tossed out a ticket on the handicappers report. I think he said a $28 ticket, and there was a scratch, so I'll probably cut down to maybe 24 or something like that. He had 4 of the winners, and the 2 that he missed, Mijos was one of them. I had that horse on top, and Casa Creed, he didn't have that on his ticket. And as we were talking on the handicappers report, I said, that Mott horse might be a little bit interesting. So again, I'm kind of redboarding a little bit, but the winner of the first leg that paid double digits, I had that one on top.
Yeah.
So the point being, again, I'm redboarding a little bit, but the point being, I thought it was havable, and I would have, if it was like 3,000 or something like that, it would have been a little more, okay, but 47,000.
Yeah. I mean, those 2 favorites that lost,
Yeah, the
Code of
shove
Honor
horse,
lost,
I
and
think,
then,
probably dropped a lot
right.
of tickets out.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was probably a lot of people's
Henley's
singles.
Joy getting beat by Casa Creed.
Right.
So.
So, I mean, the Casa Creed, that was an interesting horse on paper because it's Bill Nye and John Velasquez.
That changed things up a little bit.
But the one horse I really thought people singled or cut down was that Code of Honor, the 4 horse.
So that probably played into it, but still, boy, there was a lot of value there, and that just shows if you can get by one of those horses like that in the sequence, it can balloon up. And we'll take a look at a couple of those races as we go along here with our stakes recap. Mentioned it yesterday as we talked with Ron Nicoletti from Gulfstream and Brad Free, Daily Racing Forum out at Santa Anita. They had a couple of nice 3-year-old races kicking off their Derby Trail kind of situations, both at Gulfstream and Santa Anita. Why don't we start out at Santa Anita with the Sham, because Coliseum, the number 5 horse here, was the monster on the day. The career debut back in November at Del Mar was phenomenal, and everybody was thinking this could be another monster from the Baffert barn. Broke slowly, got a little rank, and you can see the 5 Chicklet there not going to get it done, and in fact a disappointing 6th in the field of 7 at 3-5. But look on the outside, look at the Silks. It's our friends at West Point Thoroughbreds making up late ground. Gunmetal Gray gets it done under Mike Smith. Sueno also closed at 18-1 to run second. The other Baffert, number 7, much better, runs third. But again, and I've been saying to Sully in here doing the afternoon show for probably about 3 weeks now, our buddies at West Point are on a little bit of a roll. Watching the venues around the country. They've had a couple of winners recently down at the fairgrounds. And as I say, watching the various tracks, they're on a nice little roll over the past month, 6 weeks or so, capped by the Sham yesterday, Gunmetal Gray. And I was reading some of the follow-up articles, and they made some good points. The Sham had been some class relief for this one. 2 races back, finished second in the American Pharoah to game winner. And then in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, shipped cross-country and wound up, 5th in a field of 13 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So, again, this may have been a little class relief yesterday, but things worked out nicely. The front-end horses faded a little bit, and coming from the back of the pack, Gunmetal Gray. Again, congratulations to West Point, who own it in partnership with Pearl Racing and Jerry Hollendorfer himself, the trainer.
Yeah, I mean, big congrats to all the connections there, as you said. And I actually liked Gunmetal Gray in that Breeders' Cup race. So, when I saw the price we got and the horse paid almost $10, that was really, I was surprised by it, especially you picked up Mike Smith in the mount, too. So,
was nice.
Baffert's loaded this time of year with Coliseum, and how often do you see a Godolphin horse trained by Bob Baffert? So I think Coliseum will be okay, it just wasn't that horse's day. But again, congratulations to West Point, and you got a really nice price home there for that horse with Mike Smith aboard. So. As you said, I thought coming into the Breeders' Cup, this horse had a real shot, and then I just saw no one was closing, and here comes Mike Smith in those gold and black silks.
And, again, we had Brad Free on yesterday, and he nobody could look at this race and not tilt towards Coliseum. But he noted Coliseum had speed. There was plenty of speed in the race. As it turned out in some of the workouts, Coliseum had been maybe a little bit of a gate problem and reverted to that yesterday, getting off a little bit slow. And again, Joe Talamo said wound up rank as well. So we'll see if they regroup with Coliseum. You would have to think. And Brad Free made the great point, too, that Coliseum looked fabulous in that Del Mar race, but the horses who finished second and third came back and were kind of duds. And so maybe that race is better than it looks. It's hard to believe. That was a pretty good effort. It'll be interesting to see what Coliseum does next time. But you would have to think a rebound is probably in line for that one. But as I say, congratulations to the folks at West Point Thoroughbreds. Gunmetal Gray now continuing along the Derby Trail potentially for them. On the 3-year-old side, cross country yesterday at Gulfstream Park, it was the Macho Man. As we alluded to earlier, Code of Honor was the one people were kind of looking at. I put Mijos on top. I said Code of Honor likely the one to beat. Code of Honor is going to be the number 4 horse here, running a disappointing 4th for Shug at 4-5. Second choice at 5-2 was Mijos, the number 6 horse for Jimmy Jerkins. Came down from the maiden breaker up at Aqueduct in the second career start. I just had a feeling this horse might be in some good form and might be eligible to get it done. And you can see here making a nice sustained effort and getting it done over number 3, Trophy Chaser, who was coming out of a couple of stakes races. The Champagne finished 5th in there, but 2nd most recently in the street sense behind Improbable. So Trophy Chaser hadn't been seen since early in November, but again had faced some nice horses stakes-wise on the 2-year-old scene. Garter and Tie runs 3rd. Code of Honor runs 4th under John Velasquez. And Velasquez in post-race comments said the horse, he felt he had good horse for most of the race, and then they kind of got on the turn, and when the real running started, the horse spit out the bit a little bit. Again, be interesting to see what happens next and if they regroup, because certainly the first 2 starts of the career Code of Honor said the horse is better than what we saw yesterday. But hats off to Centennial and Jimmy Jerkins. Mijos now defined himself off the 2 maiden special races, the 3rd in the career debut at Belmont and the win last time at Aqueduct, now adding this one. And again, a nice gutsy grind down the eventual 2nd place finisher job for Mijos. Defines himself as a player in this 3-year-old division.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I thought Trophy Chaser had a huge race. It just got caught, at the nip of the wire there. And but as we said earlier, this is probably the race that blew up that rainbow just a little bit because Code of Honor looked spectacular coming into this race. And obviously, Shug McGahee and John Velasquez won a ton of races together. But Mijos coming in from Aqueduct, and we haven't seen this horse since November, had some nice works going into that race. But again, it seemed like the track was closing well all day yesterday. So you got a nice price on Mijos as well. But again, I thought Trophy Chaser ran a huge race in that spot. I thought that would be a little bit more of an upset there, but Jose Ortiz found a way to get it done.
You mentioned the track, and that's something we have to keep in mind this time of year, too, with these 3-year-old races. Some horses like Gulfstream, some don't. Maybe Code of Honor would just be one of those horses that turns out not to appreciate the Gulfstream Park strip. But you would think in the Barneys and probably get another shot on that 3-year-old trail down there. So Mijos, as I say, a player. But earlier on the card, this horse to me is interesting. The Limehouse, which was race 2 yesterday, restricted to 3-year-olds that had never won a stakes race. 6 furlongs the trip. I put Splice the main brace on top. That one is going to run 2nd at 7-2. Final Jeopardy, the obvious horse you had to beat, the number 6 horse coming out of the nice debut win for Jason Service. That one runs 3rd. The winner, though, number 5, Seismic Jolt. I did not use this horse in my mix, but as I looked back, started the career a couple of times on the turf. There were a couple of okay improving efforts. Then went to the dirt last time and won really nicely in a state-bred maiden special event at Gulfstream. And then E5 Racing and David Fawkes decide, hey, let's try this little restricted stakes race. So it's the 2nd time on the turf, the 4th career start, obviously a step up into a little bit tougher competition. But given what Seismic Jolt did yesterday, chart margin of 3.5, they may have found that they were thinking the wrong thing for the first 2 starts on the turf. They may have a nice little 3-year-old on their hands as well.
Yeah, and hopefully, you like to see those connections have another 3-year-old like they did last year with good magic. So I thought that was a really nice performance by Tyler Gaffleone. And obviously, you had Jason Service in Final Jeopardy, and Jason Service arguably had one of, if not the hottest barn in 2018. He sent horses everywhere, and they just kept winning races. So, Final Jeopardy ran earlier at Gulfstream in the championship meet and looked phenomenal. But same with the winner with Tyler Gaffleone. So I just think Final Jeopardy just got a little bit overbet because of how well the Service barn has been running in 2018. But again, I'm just very happy to see Connections have another contender here and looked great yesterday after having a really nice horse as a 3-year-old last year in Good Magic. So congratulations to them, and Tyler Gaffleone got it done on the front end.
And again, Final Jeopardy, this was career start number 2, and so you can kind of forgive that as an experience builder, perhaps, and they'll move forward. Some of these, like Final Jeopardy Coliseum, some of the horses on the day yesterday, Code of Honor, be interesting to see what they do next time and if we get a rebound effort. All right, let's move on to the Ginger Brew. This one, 3-year-old fillies on the grass at 7.5. I thought What a Beaut, and keep your eyes on the number 4 horse. I thought What a Beaut would be interesting off the 53-1 debut effort win. I said it yesterday. How did we let a Mark Casse, Gary Barber horse get away at 53-1? And number-wise, the horse was going to have to step up. I just thought that was possible. But What a Beaut, look at the number 4 Chicklet, just in a bad spot all the way. And then at about the 16th pole, kind of looks to maybe find some room, and things just jam up again, and the horse gets completely stymied. So I think What a Beaut there in those pink silks, you're going to see gets completely stopped, is better than that performance yesterday. But take nothing away from the winner, Boxwood, who holds off Pivotina, who was really logical for Grand Motion. I think both of the first 2 finishers, real players in this subdivision of 3-year-old fillies on the turf. But Boxwood, it was the 5th career start, the 3rd win for Eddie Keneally. The last couple of starts prior to this had been off the turfers, but the first 2 races of the career had been good turf efforts. Back on the grass yesterday, gets it done. And as I say, Pivotina made a nice late run with a jumble of horses there coming around the turn and into the stretch. So both horses to watch going forward. But again, What a Beaut, I think, given the trip, I'm going to take a look at that one next time. And hopefully on the past performances in the chart, this will darken the form a little bit, and so we'll continue to get some odds maybe on What a Beaut. I'm not sure. Other people may make trip notes, and the horse will float down a little bit, but watch that one going forward.
Yeah, definitely watch that one going forward. But Brian Hernandez had a great meet in South Florida, and he just went wire to wire again. I believe the majority of his wins down there have been wire to wire. But the horse I liked going into the race that was at a little bit of price was the 5 Red Rounder from Mike Maker. He had F. Leon aboard, and just watching that replay, had the same kind of trip as the 4 that you liked. What a Beaut. Just really had nowhere to run on the rail, and finally got room with about right in front of the shadow of the wire, and still had a ton of horse left and got up to get 3rd. So I would like to see that one not get stuck in traffic, maybe get in the outside and close well. So you're going to get a price next time that horse runs as well. Red Rounder, I think, is one to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, a trip handicapper's dream there, that race, is the head-on of the stretch will probably provide some note-taking for those types. All right, let's move on to the Glitter Woman. These are 3-year-old fillies going 6 on the dirt. I like the winner here, but so did everybody else. Fancy Dress Party at 4-5 gets it done. The number 3 horse came in off 2 wins, 2 nice wins. Keeneland to break the maiden, Churchill in an optional claimer, non-winners of 1 other than. Both of those were on sloppy tracks, so maybe had to define herself on a dry track, but certainly did it. A chart margin of 5 3/4. Horologist, the number 6 second. Brunette Princess runs 3rd in here, but getting it done at a short price. Fancy Dress Party now 3 for 3 for trainer Ben Colebrook. And it'll be interesting to see, because this is the time of year and the kind of situation. The first 3 starts of the career, 5.5, 6, and then yesterday 6. Seems a bona fide sprinter, what we've seen so far, but not defined yet at 2 turns. And when you have a good 3-year-old, I would think at some point they'll stretch the horse out and at least try. But so far we've seen this horse sprinting very, very talented.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe they're going to try to stretch the horse out just to see what you have. And Dale did that last year with Promises Fulfilled and ended up winning the Fountain of Youth. And then went back to sprinting and had a great sprinting career. So I do believe they'll stretch the horse out. Why not? You got nothing to lose. You know you have a great sprinter there, a stakes quality sprinter. So really, that really was a nice performance there. And as you said, everyone was on board with Fancy Dress Party with Louis Saez in the irons.
All right, the Kitten's Joy, the 3-year-olds on the turf. I've said it for 4 or 5 years now. I love this subdivision of the 3-year-olds on the turf, and this is kind of kicking off their season. Henley's Joy, the number 9 horse, was the 3-5 favorite, deservedly so, coming out of that super pulpit win We talked on the Handicappers Report, though, yesterday with Brian Adel. The 9 post was not going to be a bonus for that horse. Does make a nice late run, but as we were on the Handicappers Report yesterday talking to Brian Adel, I looked at Casa Creed, and Casa Creed was a nice winner for me up at Saratoga in the second career start at 6-1. Subsequently went into the Champagne, then tried a stakes race at Churchill in the last start. Neither of those were impressive, but most of the turf for Bill Mott. And the number 5 horse, Casa Creed, as you can see there, in a blanket finish, gets it done at 12-1 under John Velasquez. And Velasquez said, he felt good about the horse. He could feel the other horses coming, particularly Henley's Joy, so felt it was lucky to kind of hold on. But nice win there. Again, probably helping to blow up that rainbow yesterday to what I thought was a lot of value for the sequence. But Henley's Joy was certainly on the majority of the tickets. Casa Creed, however, holds that one off by a neck. With, as I say, what I thought yesterday during the Handicappers Report was just an interesting move for Bill Mott. The first 4 starts of the career all on dirt. They got ambitious and had tried the Champagne, and now moving over to the 2 turns on the turf. Gets it done yesterday at Gulfstream.
Yeah, and I know you're a big fan of the sire of that one,
Jimmy
Seth.
Creed.
You're a big Jimmy Creed fan, but as you said, Johnny B kind of alerted to it. They got lucky getting the wire first because Henley's Joy was flying home late. But as you said, it was just a really interesting move there by Bill Mott. He wins a lot of races at a high percentage making that move, and you got a really nice jockey to ride Casa Creed again. You got a great price. But as you said, I think this race and the Code of Honor race really blew up that rainbow sequence. And
then you put the 2 of them together.
Absolutely. And so again, I think Henley's Joy still going to be a factor on the turf, but a really nice win there by Casa Creed.
Yeah, again, and as we talked about with Brian yesterday, 7.5 on the grass, quick run to the turn, so the 9 was not helping Henley's Joy, and he misses by a snudge in there. All right, let's move on finally to the San Gabriel yesterday at Santa Anita. Again, talked about this one with Brad Free from the Daily Racing Forum, and we were talking about next shares. He said that you talked to trainer Richard Balthus and the Breeders' Cup Mile, just a little too much cut in the ground. The horse likes a little cut, but not as much as got at Churchill that day in the Breeders' Cup Mile. But the question was, could this horse rebound to the performance 2 starts back in the Shadwell Turf Mile, a 107 buyer? The horse had fired a couple of triple-digit buyers already over the Santa Anita turf course. Well, certainly rebounded to a very good effort with another bingo-bango finish here. Gets up by a nose over Cleopatra's Strike. Next shares is the number 7 horse, Cleopatra's Strike. A horse that Brad Free thought was going to be live in here, so hats off to him for calling that one. Liam the Charmer, the number 1 horse, runs 3rd, and as you can see there, chart margin, nose, head, and then from 3rd to 4th, a length. But at 8-5, next shares got it done. And one of the reasons I wanted to show this, A, we talked about it yesterday and we're wondering about the rebound. Well, the rebound happened. But B, the post-race comments, they're now thinking about heading to that rich turf race on Pegasus Day down at Gulfstream with next shares.
Yeah, well, excuse me. Yeah, well, just take a shot in that race. It's going to be a fantastic race, and I actually liked Cleopatra's Strike in that race. So it's kind of heartbreaking to lose that one by a nose at 6-1. But again, Giovanni Franco wins a lot of races out west. That was a really nice effort there to get up to win that race, and I don't blame the connections trying to take a shot in that $7 million race later this month in South Florida.
Yeah, that's going to help add a little intrigue to that event. All right. We will take a break. When we come back, give you some ideas for this afternoon. We'll do a little handicapping. And don't forget, about 15 minutes away, we'll reach out to our friend Dick Powell. We'll talk a little Eclipse action as the finalists were announced yesterday. All of that right after this. Stay tuned.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, the Capital Region's only destination for live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. And they're off. Horse betting is now at Rivers Casino and Resort with Capital off-track betting terminals and live tellers located just off the gaming floor at Van Slyck's. Get in on all the action at Rivers Casino and Resort.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices, to know how to connect the dots? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool, but not the only tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. These too are important tools, and you'll find them all right here at Capital OTB. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow Sully Crotty. We'll take a look at some action for this afternoon, see if we can give you some ideas that will allow you to cash some tickets, because that is what it's all about. Sully's going to kick things off. Gulfstream Park, race number 9. Bottom level claimers going the 1-turn mile. Sully, what did you see in the 9th at Gulfstream today?
I like the 3, 7, 4, and 1 here. Number 3 on top is Luz Estrella. I'm going to try to beat the short price of number 4 in here. You get a little bit of value with Paco Lopez, a horse that ran a really nice race earlier in the championship meet, behind the number 4 horse in here. So I think a repeat of that performance. Paco's on this very, very speedy horse. I love Ben Paco in those 1-turn races with a lot of speed. So we're going to put Luz Estrella on top, going out for drawing away stable. And this is actually a horse that I used on top last time at 11-1. And finished 3rd by a length. The number 7 horse, Chris Landeros, is going to be aboard for a horse with a little bit of a closing kick. Lost to a decent horse last time out at the championship meet, and a horse that keeps switching barns here. First off, the claim for Gustavo Delgado. He's 0 for 7, but on these route races, in claiming races, he's winning 26% of his races. This horse does have a little bit of a closing kick. Landeros will be in the irons, and then the 4 horse will be your favorite here. Romero Mirage is going to be aboard, a horse that won the last 2 by a neck and a nose. So I think this horse definitely has the potential to be beat here today. And a horse that did win actually 3 in a row, won by a length last time, switched barns from Antonio Sano, and now a winner of the last 2 coming from off the pace. The horse does have a little bit of the bug advantage as well. Going to be tough to beat. Last time the horse looked like it was going to be beat, but she did bounce back, even from a wide trip. So I think the horse has to be on the lead and run away with this one. That's why I like the speed in Paco Lopez. A little bit of an upset in this spot. And then the 1 horse has some speed as well, so it might be a speed duel between the 2 Lopez's. For Anthony Cordarolo and Ron Palucci with the 1 horse. We'll use that one in the mix as well. In the 9th race today at Gulfstream, I went 3, 7, 4, and 1. Seth's going to take a look at Aqueduct this afternoon. A little later on, some Tampa Bay races. But race 2 at Aqueduct, this is a claiming race for 4-year-olds and up. They're going 5.5 furlongs.
Yeah, and I'll toss this one out there because it kicks off the early pick 4. There's only a field of 6 scheduled. But I think it's a competitive field. The Chateau, the 7-5 favorite, I have underneath. So I think you could play around in the first leg if you wanted to. I'll toss out some ideas. The final Crazy Dude, second on the morning line at 3-1. And again, it's a 6-horse field, so we're not looking at a win price that you're going to retire on or anything. But to me, as I say, it's a competitive field. Chateau, the 1 horse, makes sense. Second off the claim for Jason Service. Claimed the horse from Todd Pletcher, from not only Todd Pletcher trainer, but Todd Pletcher owner. And then came back in the follow-up and won for the 40 tag. Now they come back for a 25 N2L. I think is going to fit nicely here. So Chateau makes sense for Jason Service and Michael Dubb. But I don't think if you look at that horse, any more talented than a couple others in here. And so the final Crazy Dude to me on recent form, broke the maiden 2 back for 25, came back at this 25 N2L level last time, ran an okay second. The numbers are on both of those races are very good and stack up very competitively. In fact, a couple of points better than the morning line favorite Chateau. So I'll put the final Crazy Dude on top, Chateau second. And then at 3rd and 4th, if you wanted to play around again in leg 1 of the pick 4, I love Jackson Made that move last time that I've talked about before that I like quite a bit. Came out of state bred allowance and moved into an open claimer, even better, an open conditional claimer. Was well beaten that day, but it was over a sloppy track. Monteleone won. I'm wondering if it was a salty addition and maybe the track condition played against it. Gets a step down the claiming ranks. I'm not thrilled with the 0 for jockey on board, I must say that. Otherwise, I might have put this horse on top. But I'll give this one another shot on that angle that I like quite a bit. And Latin Lovebug, again, number-wise in the past couple of races, I think stacks up nicely. I think it's more competitive than maybe the morning line is giving it credit for in race number 2. I have it 4, 1, 5, and 6. Another race at Gulfstream that Sully will take a look at, race number 10 this afternoon, optional claimer, non-winners at 2 other than, going 1 mile and a 16th on the grass. Sully, your thoughts in Gulfstream's 10th?
7, 2, 8, and 4. I could switch 7 and the 2. I like both of them in this spot. Dr. Edgar comes in after winning an allowance non-winners of 1 other than last time out by 5 at Belmont Park. Won at Saratoga over the summer pretty impressively, but was a short price that day. Went to Belmont, was a short price, and looked very impressive. Barkley Tag does the training. Jose Ortiz will be aboard. And there's a lot of speed in this race. The 8's going to try to get to the lead. The 7's going to try to get to the lead. The 6 has some speed, and also the number 4 horse. So there is a lot of speed in this race. So maybe being off the pace or sitting in the stalking role is where you want to be. And that's why I could switch either Dr. Edgar or Clyde's Image. But Dr. Edgar, we have seen the last 3 starts, can win from off the pace. So the win at Saratoga, the horse was 3 wide on the turn and 5 off the pace, winning that race by a head. But the number 2 horse is Clyde's Image. You're getting a really nice price at 4 to 1 for Tom Bush. Javier Castellano is going to be in the irons. This is a horse that lost to Kitten's Joy by a head last year and the Dania Beach by 2 lengths. On the long layoff, came back to Belmont on a yielding turf course and won by a nose. So now going back to Gulfstream, and the horses ran well in some stakes races. You're getting a nice price, and you're going to be in a really nice stalking role like we saw in that Grade 3 in January, and then last February as well in the Kitten's Joy. So I think Clyde's Image coming from off the pace for Tom Bush, who's got 2 wins and 7 starts at this meet, could be very, very interesting. And then the number 8 horse at a little bit of a price is Chief Exchanger. John Velasquez is going to be in the irons. A lot of speed on this one as well. But going back to Florida, or going back to Gulfstream after a disappointing 6 by 11 at Gulfstream Park West, came back the next time out later in the month of December and won that race from off the pace. But we've also seen this horse wire the field. But with the amount of speed in here, I think Chief Exchanger should be sitting off the pace. And this is a horse that raced well against Conquest Sandman last championship meet, who went on to win a stakes race and run well in a graded stakes race after that. So Chief Exchanger in the mix for me at a little bit of a price, or actually at a really nice price at 10 to 1. And a really nice 10th race at Gulfstream, I went 7, 2, 8, and 4. Seth's going to take a look at some races at Tampa Bay. The 7th at Tampa Bay Downs. This is a maiden special weight. This is for 3-year-olds. They're going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf course.
A lot of familiar names in here going cross-state, as it were. Christophe Clement, Todd Pletcher, Chad Brown, owner Michael Dubb. This is interesting to me if the morning line holds up. I have it 8, 4, 9, and 3. I have a Clement runner on top. The other Clement, the 7, is interesting as well. Maybe if there's a scratch, you could pull that one in. But Umbrage, 12 to 1 on the morning line. I don't know whether that, and I really don't know whether that'll hold up, because I think it could go either way. Folks could see just what I see. I'm looking at some breeding. I'm looking at Christophe Clement, Dan Santino on board, and thinking this horse is very interesting. So folks may see that. But boy, the career debut was not much. However, early November on the dirt, sprinting, now goes 2 turns on the turf. By Lemon Drop Kid, blinkers come off, Lasix gets added. Santino on board. I think Umbrage is going to be very interesting and competitive this afternoon. And boy, if we do get that 12 to 1 morning line to hold up, this could be an interesting way to kick off the late pick 4 down at Tampa Bay. Underneath, Go Poke the Bear. It's Todd Pletcher with a Kitten's Joy runner in the second start. Debuted for 50 at Gulfstream Park West and just missed in there. I think is well placed and primed to run a big effort in this position for Pletcher and Rapoli. Third spot, I'm going to take a look at Desert Spring. Mike Stidham, trainee, down at Tampa. Last time, a close-up second-place finish after having led most of the way and maybe well-positioned from this outside post to make the most of that speed. Tries the turf this afternoon, but I think this horse will be okay. Stidham does pretty well moving to the turf. First time out, or the first time on the turf stats. Chad Brown has changed direction. Firster by Curlin that I think could be interesting. As I said, Thomond Park. The other Clement runner also interesting. Fun race. But I'll take a shot again. 12-1, the number 8 Umbrage on top. I have it 8, 4, 9, and 3. All right, interesting race yesterday. The newly turned 3-year-olds in the Sham out at Santa Anita in Southern California. On the boys' side in the Sham, but the girls' side of newly turned 3-year-olds come out in the Santa Ynez Grade 2 event, couple $100,000, 7 furlongs to trip. It is a short field, but Sully, I'm glad you pointed this one out because about 7:04 this evening, our time, tune into the network. Mother is in here for Bob Baffert, having just missed last time in the Grade 1 Starlet. Perhaps more importantly, Bellafina returns after the disappointing fourth place finish as the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly. Race 8 at Santa Anita this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a short field here, and you can go 1-2 with Mother and Bellafina, but I'm going to try to split them here. I'm going to go 2, 4, and 1. I do like Bellafina for Simon Callahan and Flavian Pratt. The horse ran against Jaywalk, who's up for an Eclipse Award, and was a disappointing effort in the Breeders' Cup, but after the really impressive performances in the Grade 1s at Santa Anita and Del Mar leading into that Breeders' Cup race, Bellafina was a deserving favorite there, and there's a ton of speed on this one. And I like Pratt on the lead. He does a great job slowing down the pace. So I went with Bellafina on top. Tomlin in the second spot for me should be sitting in a stalking role and let Mother and Bellafina go. Tomlin coming in from a little bit lesser of stakes races, definitely going to have to step it up, but coming in from the synthetic at Golden Gate, a nice bullet workout at Golden Gate, winning next time out for the Connections, 11%. So the big question is, can this horse run from the Golden Gate surface to the Santa Anita surface from a stalking role? I'm going to try just to get a little bit better of an exacta than Mother and Bellafina. So I'm going to put Tomlin between those two. And then Mother's going out for Bob Baffert. Drayton Van Dyke's aboard. This horse, it clearly can win this race. You're going to get a better price than Bellafina. Lost by a neck in the Starlet, as Seth talked about earlier. And it really was not a bad race at all. Florent Giroux was out at Los Al that day, and the horse won the Rags to Riches very impressively at Churchill Downs. Really nice bullet workout on December 30th for this one at Santa Anita. A 1 out of 66, a 47-2 going 4. So this one has a ton of speed as well. So you can go either way with Bellafina, Mother, but I'm going to try to split them with a little bit of a price. A horse coming in from a Golden Gate that could be ignored on the odds board, but it really is a nice 5-horse field at Santa Anita later this afternoon or later this evening our time. I went 2, 4, and 1 in the Grade 2 at Santa Anita this afternoon. And then Seth's going to look at race 9 at Tampa Bay. The 9th at Tampa Bay Downs, this is a maiden special weight. This is for 3-year-old fillies. They're going a mile on the turf course.
I have it 9, 2, 13, and 1. The 13 is a couple deep on the AE. If that one doesn't get in, take a look at the 6. The number 9, Kyra, by Cairo Prince, who's doing okay as the sire of win early type runners, and this one almost lived up to that breeding in the turf debut last time, the second career start, but just missed on the turf at a similar event last time right here at Tampa. I think we'll benefit from that and perhaps move forward. So we'll put Kara on top. Second spot, Peace Feeling. Second time starter from Chad Brown by Warfront. Ran 7th in the career debut up at Belmont, but not beaten badly. Only 3 lengths in a field of 9. Should benefit from that, and I like that they choose this spot. They're working over Palm Meadows at Chad Brown's wintertime base, and they said, hey, there's a nice little spot over here for us perhaps at Tampa. So they come over and Gallardo jumps on board. Tipple, again, 2 deep, 3 deep actually on that. Needs 2 we'll need 3 scratches to get in actually. So I'm a little dicey about this, but Tipple, Christophe Clement runner, that in the last couple of starts has shown nice improving efforts, and it's from our friends at West Point. As I said, they seem to be on a little bit of a roll lately. So if the 13 should make it in, it needs some help scratch-wise, but just wanted to toss it out because if it does make it in, you want to pay attention to that. Otherwise, LEB for Arnaud Delacour could be interesting at 8-1. Pioneer of the Nile, second-time starter, trying 2 turns, trying the turf for Delacour and Daniel Santino. And Laf Namona in the 3rd spot. Christophe Clement, firster by Quality Road. As I say, if the 13 doesn't get in, maybe pull that one into your mix as well. So 9-2, 13-1. If that 13 doesn't get in, take a look at the 6. All right, we'll head to a break. When we come back, our friend Dick Powell will join us. The Eclipse Award finalists were announced yesterday. We'll kind of go through some of the categories and have a little Eclipse discussion right after this. Stay tuned.
Dirty windows? Don't do it yourself. Call Clean Image, your window cleaning professionals, and enhance the look of your business or home without the worry. Clean Image pledges nothing less than 100% customer satisfaction. It's guaranteed. Homes, offices, bed and breakfast, vacation homes, and more. Clean Image has cleaned them all. Carpet and floor cleaning, pressure washing, and janitorial services are also available. Call today, 446-1397. That's 446-1397. Online at clean-image.net.
The Game On Dude is just battling them all off. Game On Dude has the lead. Here's Drosselmeyer out of the clouds. Drosselmeyer from nowhere. And Drosselmeyer and Mike Smith have beaten Chantel Sutherland on Game On Dude.
Not at the track and not near a computer? No problem. Wager with Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System and you'll never get shut out again. Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System is quick, simple to use, and guarantees your wagers are accurate and placed on time. For more information, visit CapitalOTB.com or call Capital OTB's customer service hotline at 800-292-BETS. Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System. Never get shut out again.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Seth Merrow Sully Crotty in the studio, but joined now by our friend Dick Powell. As I said, Dick in the past few days has put out his Eclipse ballot online. I have that linked over at Equidaily if you'd like to go through Dick's ballot and see some of his thought process. But I thought we'd reach out and talk a little bit of the thought process and also the finalists that were announced yesterday. Dick, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. Good morning, Sully. It was a little more difficult in a couple of categories than it might normally have been.
Some of you hit it, nailed it, because some of them are slam dunks, and some of them I'm going to be really interested to see where the voters went. And I'm going to start out with a category that you and I differed, but I respect you because you held to your principles, and I didn't. And that was the female turf category. And the finalists there are Raving Beauty, Enable, and Sister Charlie. Clearly it's between Enable and Sister Charlie. And I'm kind of with your reasoning normally. I don't like the European horses who come over and get one win here and walk away from Eclipse because I think it's an American award. Also, Enable with the short career this season, I usually like to see more races than that. I just thought she's the exception for the rule for me. She was so phenomenal. The layoff early in the year, the comeback, and then to win the ARC and beat the boys in the Breeders' Cup Turf. I put Enable on top, but you stuck to your guns on those principles of the European with only the one start, and the other logical horse is clearly Sister Charlie. Talk about that category a little bit in your decision-making process.
Well, thank you for making my argument for me. No, I don't have to say anything. I mean, I follow European racing. I follow all international racing, and Enable is the real deal, as she proved that day. But I was totally against the Breeders' Cup years ago, calling this the World Thoroughbred Championships. You know, you have your Irish Champion Stakes, you have your French Champions, which is really ARC weekend, then you have British Champions Day, at Ascot in October, and we have ours, but suddenly ours is the biggest, best, everything else. So, yeah, a lot of horses ship over. They're on the turf. They win on their surface. But it's in the past, believe me, Enable would be a slam dunk. But I just decided that we're taking our own awards away from our own horses.
Yeah.
And that being said, I didn't vote for any of the Europeans that had one start in any of the categories. So I stayed consistent with that, which is unusual for me. Sister Charlie had a spectacular year. Finished it up with a win in the Breeders' Cup, although it was against her own division. But what else was she supposed to do? So I gave it to Sister Charlie, and Chad also had the other one, a Raving Beauty. Uni, I had third, but Enable, yeah, she's an all-time great. But she only raced one race, and not well. What I wrote was, we don't handicap the Eclipse Awards. In other words, we're basing this on accomplishments, not who we would bet if they were all suddenly put in the race today, and who seems to have the best chance. And just because of that fact, I just decided I'm not going to bet the one. I'm not going to pick the one race horses and go with the horses who had accomplished more over here.
Yeah, and as I say, normally I'm with you as well. To me, she just kind of stood out as kind of an aberration. And so as I say, I kind of respect that you stuck with your principles. I went in the other direction, though. Let's go to another category that's going to be a lot of fun and has generated a lot of discussion. Horse of the Year, and the finalists, no surprise, Accelerate, Justify, and Monterey Girl. Clearly, it's going to come down to Accelerate versus Justify. I went Accelerate. You went Justify, and I think we're kind of at the discussion point that a lot of people are having. I looked at Justify and the shortened season, but it's hard to take away from the accomplishment of that compressed career he had that included the Triple Crown. I just thought the 3-year-old class that he faced got a little bit exposed as the year went along. Now, that said, Accelerate and the older division out in Southern California, maybe not that strong, but he was just facing who was there. Justify was facing what were supposed to be the best 3-year-olds going through the Triple Crown, and again, the crop was maybe a little weak. But I was interested to read your comments online, because you tossed in historically and referred back to a Sid Fernando article as well, historically looking back at Seattle Slew and Affirmed in kind of similar situations maybe.
Yeah, and Affirmed beat Seattle Slew. Seattle Slew beat Affirmed twice in 1978, and still the Triple Crown trumps all. Affirmed was Horse of the Year. Slew, even though he beat him, didn't get that year's award. He got the year before's award, despite Forgo winning the, I think, Met Mile and Woodward, and the races he lost, he carried like 136 pounds. And, that wasn't enough. They gave it to Slew, even though he was beaten in his next start and didn't race again for the rest of the year. I think the shortened season is in favor of Justify. That what he did is so out of the box that I don't know if we'll ever see it again. And as far as comparing the other 3-year-olds, I don't know. I know he made the other 3-year-olds look bad when he raced against them. One thing I wrote, something I got a kick out of it. I'm not on Twitter, Facebook, any of that stuff, and there's a reason. I write this thing about on the Brisk Speed figures. Justify ran a monstrous 114, winning the Santa Anita Derby against Baltoro, and then later on in the year, Accelerate ran a 114. And this guy writes, well, I mean, clearly they're about the same. And I'm like, do you even understand how big a 114 is in April of a 3-year-old's development as opposed to a 5-year-old in the fall? I mean, come on. That's why I'm not on Twitter.
Yeah, well, I'm on, but barely, because I totally agree with you on that sentiment. But let's tie in now. You had Justify on top for your Horse of the Year, and as I say, it's another category I'm going to be really interested to see. I think the Triple Crown achievement will trump, and I think the voters will go in that direction. But you tied that into your trainer vote. I went with Chad Brown, but I really thought about Baffert. You tilted towards Baffert as the trainer.
Yeah, that was impossible because I did all this research. I cut and pasted some stuff into a spreadsheet. And Chad wound up with 17 individual Grade 1 stakes winners. It's just unreal. Like someone might have 20 Grade 1 winners, but, 5 of them might have been this horse and 4 might have been some other horse. He had 17 individual ones. It's unreal. His earnings in Grade 1 stakes was as much, he would have been second in earnings if he just took his, I think it was either Grade 1 or Graded Stakes starters. So he had a spectacular year. I couldn't pull the trigger because I thought what Bob did was brilliant. And it showed the day he took Justify out of the stall after the Derby. Now, yes, Bob's lying through his teeth when he says the horse came out of the race great. The horse could barely stand. He wouldn't put weight on his left hind. And when Bob went to turn him, the horse stumbles, and not that he was going to fall down, but he clearly was not on. He didn't come out of the race fine. So now he has 2 weeks to get him ready for the Preakness. Horrible track. He does just enough to win that. And now he has 3 weeks. He can tighten the screws, knowing that there's no race after the Belmont. And they never disclosed what was wrong or anything like that. And obviously the money had a lot to do with it. But I think navigating through those races, and as well with Abel Tasman and all the other, and then pulling out a Grade 1 at the end of the year with McKenzie and stuff like that, I just gave Bob the slightest of edges over Chad. But Chad had an unreal year as far as the depth and how many top horses he had, was one after another, including late in the year. He won the last Grade 1 stake race of the year, the American Oaks.
For me, one of the hardest ones looking at this ballot was the 2-year-old female. And Bellafina runs later this afternoon. But Jaywalk and Newspaper Record, arguably, that would be the hardest one for me on paper, because Newspaper Record was just so impressive at the Breeders' Cup, and so was Jaywalk. So how did you, where did you side with the 2-year-old female?
Well, I went Jaywalk, and I was tempted with Newspaper Record. My problem with her, and once again, you try not to handicap these races as if they were races, but she won 3 races by wide margins on yielding turf courses. And is she just some strange soft turf specialist that obviously can't be beat in her division? She looked great. They were high on her all year, so they knew what they had. She delivered. She was spectacular. But if she would have had like maybe 1 win on firm turf and 1 on yielding, I might have put her on top. And the interesting point there, Sully, is we as voters have to get our arms around the fact that so many races are run on the turf now, and that turf racing, which used to be maybe 1/5 of American racing, is in good weather half of American racing, assuming they stay on the turf. So a Newspaper of Record, she was dominant, and maybe down the road she would have easily won. I still cling to, the dirt model more than I should, and so I went with Jaywalk, and our Frizette was every bit as good as our juvenile filly.
Yeah, I went with Newspaper Record just because I thought she was visually phenomenal in her races. But that's another one where there are a bunch of categories where you could kind of flip a coin between the top 2, and I won't be surprised or disappointed if the horse that I didn't use gets it done. One of those categories, and you had a great headline. I don't know if you wrote the headline or not, but a great headline to your column, the Jockey Eclipse Award, and I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty close. Ortiz will win the Eclipse, but which one? I went with Irod on the numbers, but Jose, you tilted in that direction on kind of quality versus quantity, although the numbers for both of them were incredible. And just these two have had a phenomenal last 4 or 5 years. Talk a little bit about the Jockey Eclipse.
Yeah, I went on the numbers also, but when you separate out Grade 1 and Graded Stakes races, Jose is far ahead of Irod. I mean, it's. I'm not saying it's not even close, because obviously they're both in a level of achievement. But Jose just had an incredible year. I got it somewhere. I mean, how many individual Grade 1 winners he had, and just part of it is the eye test. I mean, I thought Jose was the best rider up here this year. I thought he was easily the best rider at Saratoga day in and day out. That wasn't always the case in the standings. And Irad wound up riding a lot more races and won a lot more races. But then when you go to the earnings, it's almost the same. And then when you go to the graded stakes and the grade 1 stakes, it's Jose by far. And there was one category with the grade 1 stakes wins that Irad was like tied for 7th. Rosario had a spectacular year. I mean, you look at big races, every time you look up, here comes Jose, usually flying from the back of the pack. And he had, I think, 12 grade 1 wins. So he had a huge year. Mike Smith, obviously, I didn't put Mike in my top 3 because I went Jose, Irad, and Joel. Mike had a great year, and Mike has another good 2-year-old after yesterday, and it's not even the Baffert 2-year-old. So he'll have some decisions to make in the next few months. But I kind of, when I would break out the graded stakes races and the grade 1 stakes races, and sometimes that gave you a little bit different picture. And clearly with the jockeys, that was the case.
Some of these are slam dunks, obviously. 2-year-old male is going to be game winner. 3-year-old male is going to be Justified. 3-year-old filly is going to be Monomoy Girl. But again, there's some categories. It's going to be fun to see where the voters go. You and I split on another between, I think, the 2 logicals, and that's male turf horse, Expert Eye, Glorious Empire, Stormy Liberal, the 3 finalists. Expert Eye, again, going back to, I went off of my rules as far as enable, but with only the 1 start in the country, I did not use Expert Eye. I went with Glorious Empire, the win up at Saratoga in the Sword Dancer, and then I gave him credit for the late season start and win down at Gulfstream, so I gave him a little credit there. But I really went back and forth because you used Stormy Liberal. I could have gone in that direction, and I really debated Stormy Liberal being a turf sprinter. I'm going to be very interested to see where the voters go in this male turf division.
Yeah, I think it'll be all over the place. What I liked with Stormy Liberal was that turf sprinting is here to stay.
Yeah, yeah.
We're in a world where 10 years ago you wouldn't even consider him.
And I mean, you look at his record though, Dick, and he's got the 1 grade 1. But even though there's so much turf sprinting, the graded stakes haven't caught up to it, so you can't really hold that against him.
Yes, and I think they're adding, 2 more grade 1 turf sprints?
Yeah, I think you're right.
For 2019. Yeah. So they're kind of catching up to that fact. And I thought when he was good, he was dominant. Glorious Empire, all those horses, you could put them in a hat and shake them and pull one out, and I don't think anyone was any better than the others. And then not taking Expert Eye, well, then I'm left with, and not a bad process, but the process with Stormy Liberal.
Yeah, it certainly, again, is going to be interesting to see how a number of these categories will play out. Some slam dunks, some a little more interesting. And I'll just toss out there, I don't know how they're going to do it, but somehow they have to find a better way to parse out the owners. And it's not just the Eclipse Awards. It's when you read the records, you go to Equibase to find records during the year of the owners. Saul Cumin was amongst my top 3 when I sent in my ballot. And, you can't just parse out what he has done by himself, which would include all his various partnerships. You have to go partnership by partnership. So, as I say, just during the year to find the stats on the owners is tough, but it makes it kind of confusing when you get to the year-end awards like this as well in the owner category.
Yeah, that's one reason why I went for Team Justify, which would also be kind of / Abel Tasman.
Yeah.
And the rest are all complicated hedge fund people that own a piece of this and a piece of that. And we could be voting for someone without knowing they only own 10% of the horse.
Yeah.
The other frustrating thing that is kind of a tangent of this, like last week, Mind Control wins the Jerome. He goes to the front. I didn't even know who he is. I'm like, who is that horse? He's running in Lady Eli Silk.
Yeah.
Now running in Brunetti Silk, Red Oak Farm. So these horses that change silks every start because of the ownership complications, well, we don't have the visual association of horse and owner that we used to have. And now they're constantly changing. Someone buys in, so they get to run in their silks, and they're leading the horse in the winner's circle, and what happened to the other owner. So some of it's just gotten too screwy. So the easy way out was to take Team Justified. But the balloting should have options as to here are these people, not, pick someone you like.
Yeah, and as I say, the stats just don't parse things out like that, so it makes it tough. But we'll see if maybe they can play around with that in the future. I'm not holding my breath by any means. But, Dick, appreciate the visit this morning. As I say, over at Equidaily, I have your ballot link. If people want to read a little bit more about some of your thought process and look at the complete ballot. But we certainly look forward in a couple of weeks to hearing who the Eclipse winners will be. And, Dick, appreciate it, as I say, the visit. We'll talk again.
Okay, guys, take care.
Dick Powell, as I say, his Eclipse ballot via Equidaily.com if you want to read that. I linked to one of the other articles I referred to as well. I think his Baffert article where he was talking about his reasoning there. All right, I think we've hit on a number of interesting topics this morning, including some of those stakes races that clearly will play into the 3-year-old scene, both dirt and turf, going forward. Yesterday at Santa Anita and Gulfstream Park, and hopefully we gave out some good ideas for this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. So good luck wherever you play today. And fantastic cards all over the place. So stop on by here. I know you're going to hit on the promos, but a lot of football action this afternoon.
Yeah,
as well.
You make a great point. Playoffs have started, and so swing on down if you want to watch the playoff games. We'd love to see you here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Go into the restaurant, grab some lunch, sit at the bar, and enjoy that atmosphere, or one of the carols or tables. But more importantly, again, all the football action and all the racing action here at the Clubhouse Racebook this afternoon, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. And again, another reminder coming up on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The bankroll bonanza. Man, we look good in that picture, don't we? We look spectacular. Sitting behind the money. That's what made me look good.
Right.
Now it comes, if I had a pile of money sitting in front of me like that, I'd look good to everybody all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But that'll be the game plan. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to take our $300 each day and build it up into that kind of a pile of money, which can be split between the bankroll team. So swing on down to the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Put your name in the hat and see if you can get on the bankroll team. Looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. Sully, appreciate the visit as always, jumping in on a Sunday morning. So wish you good luck. Wish our friends at Gulfstream Park a good day as well. Appreciate their sponsorship. Gulfstream Park, champions start here. Again, Sully, good luck this afternoon.
Good luck to you.
And good luck to all of you. I'll be back in an hour and 10 or so with OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. See you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.